Hello there, in this video I'm going to tell you how to install Apple CarPlay and Android Auto in your Mazda 6. So I've got a Mazda 6 2016 and for something to do I wanted to try and install Apple CarPlay. It enables you to do things like have Spotify and iTunes and use Google Maps. There are two stages to this and I'm going to show you how to do one of them. So the first thing is you do need to have the latest firmware on your car infotainment system, and according to Mazda6club.com at the moment that's 70.00.335C. Now there are guides on this website for how to update the firmware on your car. That isn't what this video is about. If you cock up putting the firmware on your car, then that's your fault. I did it. Process took about 50 minutes, I think. It's a little bit hair raising because it takes so long and you wonder whether or not it's stuck. Just to give you a little bit of advice about that process, the main thing is to select obviously the right firmware for your particular car in your particular region. So there's different versions for US, maybe North America, Europe and Japan, for instance. These are the instructions on this website for doing this process. It's too much. There's a document somewhere on here, which I'll try and link to, which actually gives a 2-page and a 1-page summary of how to do the process. It's pretty foolproof. You just follow the instructions exactly. And this is the first thing you need to do before you can install CarPlay or Android Auto. If you don't do this, then the next steps will not work. Now, the primary reason I'm making this video for Mazda 6 is because I can't find any instructions online that specifically relate to the Mazda 6. There are others for CX-5 and stuff like that, videos showing you how to do it, and yes, the process is approximately the same, but it's a little bit more challenging and concerning when you're trying to do it for the first time, not based on any videos online. You'll have to do the work to find out whether or not your car is actually compatible. Mine's 2016 Mazda with the infotainment system. Again, I think this website gives you a little bit of guide about what actually will work and what won't. But yeah, so the very first thing to do is to buy the extra cable kit thing and USB connection module that you will need to enable Android Auto, because this isn't just a software update, it's a hardware update as well. Now, you can approach your local Mazda dealership, maybe do that first to see what the price is. I ended up buying this kit off eBay from a reputable seller that was recommended by the Mazda 6 Club again, and I'll leave a link to that down below. It's an affiliate link, so we'll make a little bit of commission if you follow that link. I paid in the end about $200, including import duty and all that sort of jazz, shipping, which is about £150. I did briefly look at some knockoff cables on AliExpress. On AliExpress now, it appears that you have to pay import duty and stuff up front. To cut a long story short, the cheap aftermarket cable worked out at about £50, less than £50, less expensive than the genuine cable. And to be honest, you know, I've had so many fake cables and things over the years and they've turned out to be useless. You think, well, how can you cock up a cable? Believe me, trust me, they can. You've got an expensive car, don't try and save 50 quid on a crap cable. Anyway, that's that rant out of the way. Let me show you what arrived. A little box containing the USB module. This is obviously what your SD card from your map goes into. And also there are new connectors on the bottom that your old one in your car and your armrest won't have had. It also comes with this bag that contains these spongy things that are supposed to help you stick and hide cables underneath the plastic fascias in your car, and crucially these wires, which are what are going to go from the infotainment system at the front of the car into the armrest, into that new USB module. There are also some things that look helpfully like instructions, but they're not instructions. They're basically just an inventory of the things that come in this set. You will need some tools to do this. Firstly, you can get fascia removal tools, I think. You can get them on eBay, I think, for about £5. I've seen a video with somebody using a screwdriver that really hurt my feelings actually to see the interior of the car getting all scraped up. Use these because then you're much less likely to do damage to your car. Firstly, we need to remove this big long leather bit of fascia on the, well, it's passenger side here in the UK. Obviously going to be the other way around if your car is left-hand drive, but you can just stick the little fascia tool in a gap and kind of lever it off. I actually found just clicking it off in the corner, I was then able to just use a bit of brute force to pull out the clips on the rest of the fascia. Now, don't be scared, you need to yank it pretty hard. I'm not going to be able to show you how to do it in a video, but just trust me, they're just clips under there, as you'll see in a moment. Very well designed, actually, very modular. It's obviously designed to be taken apart. So you can see here, this is going to bring the vents off as well. Eventually I do a sort of quite a severe tug and managed to get this off. And in doing this, it also lifts some of the instrument cluster leather stuff off as well, as you can kind of see here. Now, behind this, we can see the little vents, and you can also see, if I just pull it out, a little white connector there, which you are going to need to unplug. Once you've done that, you can actually remove that vent fascia from the car, and you can see now these white clips, they're just literally pull clips. You pull them and it will come out, like Lego almost. Now we need to take out the fascia that's in front of the infotainment system, and again, it's just more clips. So I use my little spudger tool, if that's what you want to call it, to lever off some of these clips. And yeah, it feels like you're going to snap something, but a little bit of a vicious tug and it comes off just like that, as Tommy Cooper would say. Now, I don't know if you can see under there, but there is actually a little bolt. This is the only thing now, apart from, yes, some more clips, holding on the infotainment screen. I use this fantastic combination of a screwdriver and a kind of wrenchy thing. It's just a standard socket set. I can't remember what the socket size is, but you stick it on there, and this is the most challenging bit actually. This bolt was incredibly tight, and actually in undoing it, I actually bent some of the metal on the underside of the radio, which I was able to bend back. Just beware of that. You do need to apply a lot of pressure, and then a little bit more firm pressure, and more clips will unclip. You can see them on the back of the infotainment screen here, and you can pull the whole infotainment screen out. Now you're going to want to remove the white connector like that. You also remove, there should be one cable beneath that white connector. You want to remove that as well. And then you want to install the two new ends of cable that came with your CarPlay kit. I'm going to put an image on the screen now which shows you how that should be wired up. The question is, how are you going to get these cables from the infotainment screen into your armrest? Now, this is where there really is no guide online as far as I could see, so I was a little bit imaginative. I tried for ages unsuccessfully to feed it down the back of the infotainment screen. In the end, I settled for feeding it down past where the engine start-stop button goes, because I found that if I fed them down that little hole, it would actually come out near the driver's footwell. So that's what I did, and you can see here I've taken off another bit of fascia actually near the pedals, again just a pull panel, and you can see that I've actually fed them down and they've come down into the driver's footwell. So that's the first kind of stage here. I then secluded them out of the way so that they're not going to impede the on-off switch. I'm then going to plug the white cable, do this because I haven't done it in this video, I'm going to plug that white cable back into the top of the radio. I don't show it, but then I then slide the radio back in. It's the usual thing of the assembly is the same as the disassembly, but in reverse. I'm sure there's a faster way of saying that. Everything just clips back in. Make sure you don't pinch wires and things and lose screws. Just be careful. So now we're on to the next part of the process, which is we need to get those wires actually into the armrest and replace the USB unit in the armrest. So the way we're going to do that, you can actually pull up the center console-y bit here with the cup holders in it. Again, very modular, just pull it up like that. You can see some screws here. I undid these Not actually sure if I needed to, but I did, and I think you should too. I was challenged for a few seconds on how to pull out the center console bit, but essentially lift it up at the front, make sure the cup clears the center console, and you can remove that entire unit. Now we're on to removing the existing USB connection module in the armrest. There are some clips you will see. You need to press those outwards and it will pop out like that. So now it's loose in there, but it's crucially still not removed. We need to remove all the cables in the bottom of the connector module. Eventually you will just be able to lift out this entire unit, including this 12-volt socket as well. You now need to remove the USB module from the sort of fascia bit that goes in there, and that's fairly easy. There are 4 clips. You can press 2 of them with your hands, but you'll need to use an implement like a flathead screwdriver. In the end, I think I actually used one of those spudger tools again. The module will just slide out like that, and now you're ready to replace it with your shiny brand new module, making sure you put it the right way around, as I have done here. And then again, refitting it is the reverse of taking it apart. The challenging part now is you need to feed those cables from the driver's footwell into that unit. And the way I did that actually was to remove a clip from the center console bit. That allows you to lift up this fascia by your feet. You can then slide and seclude those 2 new cables beneath that fascia. You may have to remove the infotainment knob thing, which again, funnily enough, you can do just by lifting up. I slid them through, I secluded them and sort of bunched them round a bit. You can secure these using that spongy, sticky stuff that they provide. I didn't bother. Time will tell whether or not that was a mistake, but obviously plug those again into the correct sockets, images shown on the screen now, and then put all the fascia back together on that side. There was quite a lot of excess cable kind of hanging around in the footwell, and I just left it because I'm like that. Not really. I tied those up into a bunch, put a cable tie around them, and actually cable tied them to the existing cable that was running from the infotainment system to the old USB module. Obviously there's one final fascia piece to clip back in there, so I did that, and because I'd done the firmware before that, plugged it in and everything worked first time. Just to tell you, you need to have, I think, your iPhone actually plugged in via USB to the correct port inside the USB connectivity module in order for CarPlay to actually work. Just bear that in mind. It's not going to work by Bluetooth, and it's not going to work if you plug it into the wrong plug socket. And now you can see I've got beautiful Apple CarPlay and would have Android Auto if I had an Android phone. It's a little bit of a novelty to have a play around with it, but now I keep forgetting my phone. I keep leaving my phone in the car, in the armrest, which isn't ideal. But hopefully if I can get around that, I might actually enjoy listening to Spotify or listening to those kind of personalised radio stations that these music services can offer you that you can't get just from DAB radio. So yeah, and obviously be careful if you're using those systems that you don't exceed your mobile phone data usage limits, otherwise you could be charged a lot or not have any left for the rest of the month. Just bear that in mind. Anyway, I hope at the very least this has shown you how to remove the fascia panels and where possibly to feed the wires to install this system. Hope it's been useful to you. If you've got any questions about the process, do let me know down below and I'll do my best to answer them, and hopefully other people can chip in if they know more about it than me. Thank you to my Patreons who support me. They're scrolling down the screen now. Thank you to George Foot, Magnanimous Meg, Jim McCaig and Jennifer Jones, who are extremely generous patrons. And I shall see you next time for another video.